That is a number that I will not disclose. That's LeBron James, asked on camera how much he spends every year keeping his own body running. Whatever the figure is, here's the part nobody puts next to it. None of that money buys anything he could ever sell. So which is it? The safest money in this sport or the riskiest? Everybody has a guess at the number. The one that stuck came from Bill Simmons in 2016. He said on his podcast he'd been told it was around $1.5 million a year. He also flagged that he was paraphrasing what he'd been told. LeBron has never confirmed that figure. He's never denied it either. And honestly, the number isn't the part that got my attention. The structure underneath it is. No deed, no title, nothing a bank could walk in, repossess, and put a price on if this ever goes wrong. Two men in this league already found out exactly what that costs. $21 million, 3 years, guaranteed. That's what the Minnesota Timberwolves put in front of Latrell Sprewell before the 2004 to 2005 season. He turned it down publicly and said he had a family to feed. And his logic wasn't crazy. That extension was a pay cut. He was already making $14.6 million that year. He bet somebody would come back with a bigger number. Minnesota, another team, anybody. Nobody did. Not that season, not the next one, not ever. He played his last NBA game in April of 2005, and the $21 million he called an insult turned out to be the last real offer of his career. By 2007, a U.S. Marshal was seizing his 70-foot yacht in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, over missed payments. It sold at auction for $856,000. Hold on to that number. It matters later, in a way that isn't obvious yet. This channel runs on decisions exactly like that one, the ones that only look obvious afterward. Subscribe if you'd rather see them coming. Ask what the money buys. The list is documented, and it isn't a garage full of cars. A hyperbaric oxygen chamber, which his wife describes as coffin-like, with sessions running around 90 minutes.
Hyperbaric chamber is crazy to me. Like, it's giving coffin. I don't like it.
Cryotherapy, red light therapy, cold plunges, compression sleeves, a personal trainer, Mike Mancius, who has been in his corner for 2 decades, chefs, and the one thing LeBron calls his most important recovery tool, which costs nothing at all: sleep. None of that is a purchase you make once and forget about. It's overhead. It gets spent again every single year in service of exactly one asset, a body that has to show up for one more season. That's the call he made. Not property, not cars, himself. And it solves the obvious problem beautifully. A car loses value the second you drive it. A house needs a market to be worth anything. A body you keep functional just keeps earning. I'll be honest, on paper it looks like the smartest financial decision anyone in this league has ever made. The generation right before him thought the same thing about their version of it. Derrick Coleman went #1 in the 1990 draft and earned more than $87 million playing basketball. He didn't spend it on toys. He put it into Detroit. Actual buildings in the city he grew up in. A mall development called Coleman's Corner. A restaurant called Sweet Georgia Brown. Hungry Howie's franchises, Tim Hortons franchises, a stake in a downtown hotel. That's the responsible version of being rich. Then the real estate market turned, and Detroit turned harder than almost anywhere in America. March 2010, Coleman filed Chapter 7, $4.7 million in debts against roughly $1 million in assets. $1.3 million of it owed to Comerica Bank, $50,000 of it owed to Dave Bing, a former NBA player who was, at that moment, the sitting mayor of Detroit. His attorney's explanation was plain enough. Coleman had been trying to develop property and create jobs in his own city, and the economy went the other way. One detail matters more than any number in this scene. When all of it came apart, the buildings were still standing. Somebody could walk through them, put a number on them, and sell them. That sounds like a small thing. It's the entire point of this video. Now take a body with an entire medical program built around it. Victor Wembanyama, 7'4" and one of the most closely monitored athletes in the league. Load management, minutes tracking, a medical staff built around one frame. And through February of 2025, it was working. 46 games in, he was leading the entire NBA in blocks, averaging 24 points and 11 rebounds a night. So when San Antonio announced he was done for the season, everybody assumed the obvious. He landed wrong. Something in the knee, the ankle, the back. He wasn't hurt on a play. Whatever took his season came from inside the body that whole program was built to protect. No landing, no collision, nothing on film to point at. He flew home from All-Star Weekend in San Francisco, and when he got back, the team found a blood clot in his right shoulder.
5 minutes of total breakdown, probably, obviously crying and sadness and feeling the fragility of life and health.
Deep vein thrombosis. February 20th, 2025. Season over. And I want to be precise about why that matters here. Every sensor in that program was pointed at the floor. There is no load management for a clot. He did come back. He was cleared that July, and he told L'Equipe he was officially clear to return. Line them up. Sprewell bet on himself and lost everything. Coleman invested carefully and lost almost everything. LeBron and Wembanyama are running the most advanced versions of this bet anyone has ever built. The obvious ranking puts LeBron at the top and Coleman at the bottom. Financially, it runs the other way. Coleman, the bankruptcy case, the cautionary tale, was in a structurally safer position than LeBron is right now. So was Sprewell. Here's why. When Coleman's businesses failed, the buildings were still there, and somebody could put a price on them. When Sprewell's money ran out, the yacht sold for $856,000. Real money, recovered, out of a total failure. That's what collateral actually is. Collateral is what your worst decision leaves behind for somebody else to sell. A recovery program leaves nothing. Spend a year on chambers and plunges and a full-time staff, and then have the body give out anyway on an ordinary Tuesday. There is nothing to repossess. Nobody is auctioning last February's oxygen sessions, and that's the thread running through all four of these men. It has nothing to do with how smart any of them were. Coleman's failure had a resale value. Sprewell's failure had a resale value. The most sophisticated version of this bet is the only one that would leave nothing behind at all. The whole mechanism fits in one sentence. Money spent on a body can't be resold, so when the body goes, the money goes with it. Wembanyama came back. He was cleared that summer. He played, and in April of 2026, he became the first unanimous Defensive Player of the Year in the awards history. And San Antonio watched every bit of it. Then, in July of 2026, they handed him a 5-year extension worth $252 million. Knowing about the clot, knowing exactly what they were betting on. So, which read is right? Maybe LeBron found the one asset in this sport that appreciates while you use it, and everybody else was just slow to see it. Or maybe he's been winning a bet with no collateral behind it for 2 decades, and it only looks safe because it hasn't failed. I don't know, and I'm not convinced he does either. You can sell a building. You can auction a yacht. Nobody has worked out what to do with the receipts when a body just stops